we're gonna be talking about Resident Evil Damnation. I am literally gonna be spoiling this entire movie for all of you, okay? So if that matters to you, this is your warning. Resident Evil Damnation, I watched it last week. I have let it marinate in my brain for a little bit, and I have some thoughts. I'm gonna tell you guys the story of this movie and give you guys the thoughts, like my mindset as I was watching it, right? The evolution of my thought set, my mindset. And then at the end, because the villain in this is one of the sickest villains in the entire series, we're gonna be ranking the top 10 best Resident Evil villains of all time. Not of all time, of the ones that I've seen. And then we're gonna be adding to our hottest Leon ranking, right? We do this for every little iteration of our boy Leon. So let's get into it. Some quick stats. This movie was released in 2012, right? On the heels of Resident Evil 6. It is made by Capcom and Sony, and it stars our main man himself, Vincent Valentine, Matt Mercer as Leon Kennedy, and Courtney Taylor as Ada Wong. Look at her. Ada in this is such a baddie. So RE6 and Damnation are like this, right? They're like this. RE6 and Resident Evil Damnation are two peas in a pod, right? They are Alfred and his sister. They're that close. So released in October 2nd was Resident Evil, and then like a few weeks later, Damnation came out, right? Honestly, we're coming up to the anniversary of these Damnation. Hooray! 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 So, here's where the movie spoilers begin. All right, let's get into it. Let me take you back to the 90s. Right? Let me take you back to the 90s, right? Where fashion and colors were bright and highly saturated, right? Fresh Prince was playing on the TV. Britney Spears, oh baby, baby, how was I supposed to know? Got Tupac and Biggie, right? Full House. You just came back from watching Pulp Fiction with your friends, right? Super fun. Back to the 90s. But you know what else happened in the 90s? The Soviet Union falls. The Soviet Union is gonzo dunzo, right? And in the Resident Evil world, that is true as well. And a bunch of different nations fracture from it. And one such nation is called the Eastern Slav Republic. And we're gonna be here the entire thing. So y'all commit this country to memory. The Eastern Slav Republic. It is not a real country, by the way. It is a made-up one. Another one, by the way, another country that did fracture from the Soviet Union, by the way, is also Edonia, which is very important in Resident Evil 6. So with the Eastern Slav Republic, right? They fracture away from the Soviet Union. Capitalism takes over. But then there's this huge divide between the oligarchs, the people who get really super duper rich, right? And the poorer class, right? This wealth gap just stretches between them, so much so that there is great discontent in the nation, and a civil war breaks out between the government and these people who are fighting for independence, right? So we got the Eastern Slav military and the independence rebels led by the Council of Elders, right? Very important is the Council of Elders. So they're fighting. Now, all that's happening in the past. That is some context for you. Fast forward to 2010, and now suddenly we're on the internet, right? We got the annoying orange, we got the hide your wife, hide your kids, because they're coming for everybody out here. Y'all remember that guy, Antoine Dodson? Got Shutter Island and the Clash of the Titans at the movie theater, right? You got TikTok on the clock. And let me give you some build up into what's been happening in the Resident Evil world between then, right? So 1998, right? Spencer Manor, Raccoon City, right? 2004, Leon Kennedy rescues Ashley Graham. The Umbrella Corporation collapses. The BSAA is founded, right? That's 2004. 2005, Leon does something in Regeneration that I don't know quite yet, but I know that it takes place in 2005. 2006, Leon prevents a war between America and China. 2009, Chris and Sheva stop the Ouroboros plan, right? And this is also when the BOW black market kind of like really just picks up. And in 2010, the Civil War breaks out once again, even stronger. It is at its strongest in 2010 in Eastern Slav Republic. And here are the new main players. On the government side, on the side of the ring, we've got the first president of the Eastern Slav Republic, President Svetlana Belikova. And let me tell y'all, she is a baddie. She's a baddie. We're gonna talk about her in a second, but she's a baddie. Oh, I'm so excited to talk about Svetlana, dude. And on the rebel side is Ataman Ivan Judanovich, right? And I looked up what an Ataman is. An Ataman is like a commander of armies, is what that means. So these are the two big players in this. And the main reason why the war intensified is because the government discovered that the rebel lands held oil. And y'all know what happens when oil is found in a place, right? And so Civil War is at its peak. The government is really bearing down on the rebels. And so what are the rebels supposed to do besides turn to the black market for a trump card? And that trump card ends up being BOWs. So they bring in all these BOWs into the war, and thus it brings the intrigue of the American government. All right, and hey, does this not sound familiar? Does this not sound familiar to all of y'all with the BOWs going into the hands of a rebel group and certain special American forces being sent in, right? I don't know. Sounds familiar. Sounds familiar. Fast forward 1 year. In 2011. Right, I start the 7th grade. Here's me in the the 7th grade in 2011, right? And equally as important, President Benford from Resident Evil 6 fame, y'all may remember, begins the DSO, right? That is the Division of Security Operations, which specializes in BOWs. That's the government branch of BOWs, right? And just as a reminder, DSO and BSAA, where Chris Redfield and Jill and Sheva are, and Pierce are, completely different than the DSO. And so, the first member of the DSO is none other than our boy, Leon! And they sent Leon Kennedy onto the scene. And thus, Damnation fully kicks off its story. So, how it kicks off is Leon is on the ground in the Eastern Slav Republic. And Hunnigan, hey, she's back. Hunnigan is back. She's like, Leon, the mission is canceled. You're being pulled back because the Americans have pulled their embassies from the Eastern Slav Republic. The Civil War is too much. Leon, we're pulling you back. And Leon's like, no. No. Heart, I have to find out where these BOWs are coming from because I haven't gotten over what happened to me in Raccoon City, September 30th, 1998. You know how Leon is. And so Leon goes rogue and he decides to stay in the Eastern Slav Republic to investigate, right? So he goes to meet the informant that the government has been working with, a man by the name of Scarecrow, right? In some shady little parking lot in the middle of nowhere. There he is, so friendly. Y'all, if you saw this man in the middle of a parking lot, would you not go and greet him, give him a big old hug, a little bear hug? Well, as Leon walks up to him, he discovers that he's injured. And the man's like, there's a zombie behind you. And then Leon is faced by what injured our informant, and that thing is the Lickers. They're back. So the Lickers have returned to the Resident Evil universe. So fun, so exciting. And then he comes crawling out, and Leon and the Licker are like doing battle. And the Licker's like, you know what I mean? And the Licker ends up winning. But before the Licker can land the killing blow, suddenly someone calls the Licker off. He's like, hey, hey, and then the liquor comes back like a dog with its tail tucked between its legs, right? And Leon's like, how are they? How is this man controlling these liquors? And he like gets knocked out. So Leon is knocked out by them. Now, here's a quick Liquors 101, right? Hey, not the worst way to spend a Friday night, am I right? With a good liquor. If you don't know what a liquor is made from a variation of the Epsilon strain. I'll explain what that is in a second. But they are made from a variation of the Epsilon strain, right? Their first occurrence was in Raccoon City, 1998, right? If you remember, if y'all were here for the Resident Evil 1 streams, they did not appear in that game at all. Not at all. They first appeared in Resident Evil 2. And because of their like vicious design and how quick they are and how they can just decimate armies on their own, they were the it girls of the BOW black market, right? They were the it girls of that, the most popular girls on the block, right? They were the brat of Brat Summer of the BOW black market. And so, let me explain to you what the Epsilon strain is, because I thought it was really interesting. I fell into a little bit of a rabbit hole here. The goal of the Epsilon strain was to make the T-virus, to improve the T-virus, so that when you made a zombie out of it, they didn't just become these mindless idiots. You know what I mean? Y'all know the T-virus zombies. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They and then like bite your brains and your neck and all that stuff. Boring. What the scientists wanted was these people who still had their mental faculties, who could follow orders, right, and be used as weapons of war, which is, if you think about it, what the Plagas ended up doing, right? But we're getting ahead of ourselves. So, in their attempts to achieve that, they created what's known as the Epsilon strain, right? And with it, they were able to make only one of these like smart zombies, and that is this guy. If y'all remember him with the hourglass figure, Mr. RE1 Tyrant, right? So they were able to make him. So he is a product of the Epsilon strain. And those who were like kind of infected, who kind of given the Epsilon strain, were these guys. You remember if you like killed a zombie in Resident Evil 1 and you didn't burn the body, they came back to life, and they called them Crimson Heads? That is what they end up being. So these two are products of the Epsilon strain, right? And so, fast forward to Resident Evil 2, in Nest, they're like, okay, this Epsilon strain's kind of working. Let's make it even better. And thus, liquors were made. So that's the story of liquors, right? That's a quick aside. Anyway, as I said, a man is seen controlling the liquors, and Leon's like, oh no, how are they doing that? And so he gets knocked out, right? So, bye Leon. Meanwhile, cut to our baddie president. The first baddie in office, Miss Svetlana Belikova, right? She's out here running her cabinet meeting, right? And she's like, all right, she doesn't have a southern accent, but I'm just gonna give her a southern accent because it's the only one I can do. All right, how are we gonna defeat these terrorists? And they're like, ma'am, we need to be able to beat their BOWs first, but and I think the way to do that is to just bomb them. And Svetlana's like, no, I don't think so. I brought in an expert on how to deal with the BOW menace. I've contacted the United Nations, and they have sent me an advisor from their little task force known as the BSAA, right? So the BSAA is like fully operational. This is like literally after Resident Evil 5. Remember that. And so the BSAA sends her an advisor to talk about these BOWs and how to deal with them. And who is that advisor? Well, it is none other than the famous BSAA operative, Ada Wong. Ada Wong in the BSAA. Right. Sure. Miss Ada is standing there in front of this cabinet and President Svetlana, right? And Ada's like, listen, science has evolved. And so now there is a way to control BOWs. There is a way to control them, right? There is the kind of virus that you give to regular folk and they turn to these zombies. And there's another thing that you give to the people in charge and they can control those zombies, right? A master organism and a slave organism is how she words it, right? And me sitting on my IKEA couch, listening to her talk about a master organism and a slave organism, I was like, that sounds mighty familiar. That sounds mighty familiar. Where have I heard that before? Put a pin on that. Anyway, back to our boy Leon. Leon, hey, ever the boy into bondage, is strapped to a chair, right? And he is kidnapped and held within the rebel clutches, right? So he is in the heart of the rebellion. And around him in this dungy little basement is a man named Sasha. Alexander, Sasha is his nickname. I'm gonna call him Sasha because Sasha's easier to say. Sasha, JD, right, this guy, and Ataman Ivan Judanovich, if you remember, is the other major player in the Civil War. Well, they question Leon. They're like, what are you doing in Eastern Slav Republic? And Leon's like, when you want to know. And they're like, we would want to know. And he's like, well, don't want to tell you. You know what I mean? But in a sassier way, because he is Leon Kennedy. And during this entire time, Ataman Ivan is over here coughing up a storm. He's like, because he probably caught COVID or something, right? I think that's what's going through Leon's head. And as they're having this big old interrogation, suddenly they are attacked. They are discovered by military forces. And they must escape. And Leon's fighting off these military guys. And Sasha and JD are over here and all of a sudden Ivan turns. Ivan becomes a POW. His eyes turn red and he's like, ah! It's utter mayhem, pandemonium here in this basement. And it is then that Leon realizes that Ivan was the one controlling the BOWs. Well. Ivan, not wanting to fully turn into those things though, was like, Listen, Sasha, you must kill me. Please don't let me turn like them. And Sasha's like, no, I can't do this. You're my mentor. You're like a father to me. And Ivan's like, please, I beg you, son. Please. And he does him in, right? So that happens. So sad. Wah, wah, wah. So there goes the leader of the rebellion. And thus, Sasha, this guy, becomes the new leader. And so, Sasha goes off and he's like a depressed emo boy for a little bit, right? So that leaves JD and Leon running around these tunnels. And they are attacked by more zombies, because it is a Resident Evil game, right? They're attacked by more zombies. But as I'm watching this, I'm like, there's these little things that are happening that sound really familiar. Me when I'm suspicious. Literally me when I am suspicious about something. And then me when these zombies started using weapons. They're using weapons? Zombies didn't use weapons in Resident Evil 2. Me when they started talking? Okay, these zombies are talking. Zombies don't talk. Wait. And then me, when one of their heads exploded and the writhing tentacles came out, I was like, brother! I was hooting and I was hollering, chat. I was hooting and hollering because yes, Gloria a las plagas, Gloria a las plagas, Gloria a las plagas. And it is confirmed because in a scene, they feed this soldier the Las Plagas worm thing, and this man turns and Leon goes, Las Plagas. So I was hooting and hollering till Las Plagas returned, and I was like, okay, I'm in on this, okay, whatever. So They end up running away, right? And they get to safety, and from there JD is able to explain like why they started using BOWs. So basically what JD says is they're desperate, brother, you know, they're desperate. Like what else are they supposed to do, right? Their families are starving, the people that they care about are dying. They are on their like last legs, and to me, like this is one of the like more interesting. This is like one of the more interesting like themes of this. Is I like at this point I almost can't blame the rebellion for using BOWs. As bad as it is, I almost can't blame them because like what are they supposed to do? You know, they have no options anymore, and so you start to feel bad. So. All of this has culminated so that Sasha, Alexander here, the new leader of the rebellion, is like, listen, this is our last effort. This is our last attempt, right? I need to take the Master Plagas and control these BOWs and just lead an attack on the presidential palace. This is it. This is where it all comes down to. And Leon's like, I don't think that's a good idea. And Sasha's like, you have no idea what's a good idea, stupid head, dweeb, nerd. And so he's gonna go off and go do that. But JD, y'all remember him? He's like, listen, Sasha's my best buddy. He was there for me when nobody else was. We're also kind of gay for each other, but that's neither here nor there. But like, please, Leon, I don't want him to take the Master Plagas, and turn into what Ivan turned into. Y'all remember the big leader who turned into a thing? Please, I don't want him to turn into one of them. Don't let him take that Master Plagas, please. And Leon's like, oh, all right, okay, I'll help you. I won't let him do it. And so he goes chasing after Sasha before he can go and take one. But Leon is too late. He gets to the place where they're holding the Master Plagas, and he is too late. Sasha's already taken them away, and he's run off. But instead, he meets somebody else. A certain special somebody. Now, they say something very interesting in this. At the beginning of their interactions between Ada and Leon's, Ada goes, are you looking to finish what we started that night long ago? And Leon's like, not tonight. And I was like, oh, I'm sure they're talking about Resident Evil 4, but now I'm not sure, are they? But apparently, according to the director of this, between Resident Evil 4 and Damnation, apparently these two hooked up. So, hey, God bless. Not my ship, but God bless. And so basically they have this like, you know, the normal Leon Ada interaction, and Ada's being all mysterious. She's like, everything's going according to plan. And Leon, my advice, just get out of the country because everything's gonna go to shit here. And Leon's like, you know I can't do that. All that stuff. So Leon goes back to back to home base to let JD know that he failed. But when he gets back there, he finds that the church that they were hiding in has been overrun by ganados, right? By overrun, and they're like, you know, they decimated the rebellion. Absolutely decimated it. And there's only 2 survivors of it, and that's JD and Sasha. They're the only survivors of this entire rebellion. Effectively, the rebellion is done, dude. Done and donezo. And so Leon's like, listen, we gotta go find Sasha. We gotta go stop him before he does anything stupid. But JD's like, about that. About that. I also got infected. And this was really sad because JD was like the comic relief, you know what I mean? So it was sad. And he had like this big old thing about how much he wanted to go to America at the end of the Civil War. And I was like, oh. You know what I mean? So it was sad. And like he's like the only friend that Sasha has left. And Sasha's like, well, now I really have nothing else to lose. So he really is going to go for that presidential palace. So womp 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 womp. Okay. this is when it gets crazy. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? This is when it gets crazy. I screamed in my apartment when this happened, chat. I screamed when this happened. Are you ready? Ada returns to the president, and Svetlana's like, so, where were you last night? And Ada's like, just sightseeing, you know how it is. And Svetlana's like, really? Well, I was doing some of my own little independent research, and I asked the BSAA if there was somebody working for them by the name of Ada Wong. But they seem to say that they never heard of you. Care to explain that? And Ada being Ada, she starts to fight her, right? She tries to escape. She tries to escape. But chat. These two literally fight. And this fight scene is literally so sick. Ada can literally not land a single hit on Svetlana. She literally cannot land a single hit on Svetlana. It is nutty. At some point, Ada pulls a knife from the wall and starts attacking her. And Svetlana, look on this gif. Svetlana's literally effortlessly dodging. She's ducking and weaving. Oh my god, I was screaming and shouting. And Ada's like, so, the rumors were right. You really are a trainer. And they didn't explain what a trainer means. I'm assuming it's for the KGB or something. But Svetlana's like, yeah, I guess so. And let me tell you, Chad, Svetlana literally beats Ada. Svetlana literally wins against Ada Wong in hand-to-hand combat. I hooted and hollered. I was like, that is nutty. Yeah, it's that KGB in her, brother. It is crazy. Svetlana does that. And she wins, and Ada is captured, right? And this, I am screaming, chatting, I know! She's so cool! And so, while that's happening, Sasha is going through with his plan, right? And he brings these truckloads, these trucks, just driving down towards the presidential palace, right? And suddenly, from these trucks, bursts forth a billion liquors. It's nutty. So while they're having their fight scene over here, the liquors are coming out and they're killing all of these soldiers, right, in the presidential palace. And Leon is having to sneak around these liquors, and he's having to duck and weave and break into the palace himself. It is a nutty scene. It's so cool. It is so cool. And so Leon manages to break in, and he finds Ada, in her regular pose. I feel like Ada is always, trapped in that pose where she's, stuck like this. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Where she's, tied up with her hands above her head. It's crazy. It's crazy. So he finds her there, he frees her, and then they're teamed up now, right? So it's Leon and Ada against the world. They're teamed up. Hooray, huzzah. The Leon and Ada shippers win. This time. And so, because it's a Resident Evil thing, y'all know that this has to happen. So, of course, there is an underground lab. There is a hidden laboratory underneath the thing. Yippee! Hooray! And in this underground lab, they find out that the government has been making, hey, guess what? Plagas. They are the ones cooking up the plagas that has infected everybody in the country, in the town. Can you smell what Svetlana is cooking? And so Svetlana comes down and she confronts them and she's like, you think you two can escape? You think I'd let you come out of here alive knowing that I'm the one making the plagas? And Ada's like, no, I guess. And she turns off all the lights and she escapes. In true Ada fashion. She escapes the facility, leaving Leon to fend for himself. Leon, Ada shippers, what do y'all have to say now? So she leaves, leaving Leon to fend for himself. And then guess what, chat? Guess what? Suddenly, it's Leon v Svetlana. Suddenly, it's Leon v Svetlana. And guess what? Guess what? It is another Svetlana win. At some point, Leon tries to do his like roundhouse kick on her. She dodges and roundhouse kicks him back. So currently it is Svetlana 2-0, dude. It is Svetlana 2-0. That is another win for president, the first female president, Svetlana Belikova. Oh my god, dude. She is so sick. She is so sick, dude. Are you kidding me? While they're fighting, guess what happens next? Alexander, Sasha, comes down to that underground lab, because apparently everyone knows about it now, and he brings his army of lickers. And the lickers take on Svetlana's private guard. Svetlana's like, guess that's my cue to leave. And she's like, hurrying out of there. And Alexander tries to confront her, right? He tries to get his lickers on her, but then she's like, finds a way to get behind this bulletproof glass and no one can get her. And Sasha's like, no. He's like beating against the glass. He's like, no, damn it, no. And so he could not beat Svetlana because Svetlana managed to escape. And while she is behind that glass, she explains her plan this entire time. Because guess what, chat? Guess what? Everything was her plan. Everything was her plan. Svetlana had the rebels in her pocket the entire time. Y'all remember that council of elders that was in charge of the rebel army? Yeah, she had them in her pocket the entire time. She was the one supplying them with the BOWs to use. Those liquors are hers. They have her stamp on their ass, dude. It is nutty. And Alexander's like, no, that's impossible. They'd never betray our cause. And she's like, rat, sir, rat. Rat. And so that is that. She has been in charge of it all along. The reason why she's been playing these two sides is because if she makes it look like the rebels are using BOWs, it gets America involved, and it gets the EU involved, and gets the UN involved, and then suddenly Eastern Slav Republic, hey, could be a member of those things. Hey, it could be a member of the EU. Hey, it could be a member of the United Nations. Now that it's recognized as a full country by everybody, because the rebellions using BOWs, now they can get all kinds of help. So that is what she was after all along. So everything has been her plot and plan. Well, now she goes and skedaddles on off, and suddenly she calls all these tyrants, because it is a Resident Evil game. She calls all these tyrants out, and that's what they look like. Look at them. Look at them. They got the Sephiroth fit too. Look at that. The Sephiroth Sephiroth skirt thing going on. And she sets these tyrants against Leon, Sasha, and their lickers. And let me tell you, it is nutty. If you want to see a fight scene between lickers and tyrants, it was so sick. If you're a fan of Resident Evil 2, please watch the fight scenes in this. It is so good. So tyrants going against lickers, and of course tyrants are stronger, so they beat the lickers. And it's like literally like Sasha and Leon trying to escape this underground facility while the lickers are buying them time. It is so cool, so cool. So that happens, and they get above ground, and Svetlana's like, oh, they escaped? Oh, they escaped? Oh. No. And she sends another tyrant after them. And literally Leon and Sasha have to like scrounge together whatever like remaining liquors they have, and they have to hold down the tyrant, and they like shoot a tank into its head. It's nutty. So they managed to beat one, and Svetlana's like, oh, you beat another of my tyrants? Well, that's okay, because I have 4 more. And she sicks 4 more tyrants against Leon and Sasha. And Leon's like, well, at some point Leon's like, oh, I don't have any more ammo. Takes out his like little Bowie knife. He's like, well, yeah, knives are faster, right? And so it's nutties. It's gonna be him v 4 tyrants. So how does it end? How does Leon get himself out of this scenario, facing off against 4 tyrants? None other than Good Morning USA. I get a feeling that it's gonna be a wonderful day. The United States of America comes flying in, and they have these jets, and they start nuking these tyrants to smithereens, right? They're throwing like missiles at them, and they're like exploding in a show of this American might. It is nutty. It is nutty. It is nutty. And with this, chat, with this comes the occupation, the beginning of the occupation of the American and Russian alliance in the Eastern Slav Republic. Both America and Russia are like, listen, we've seen what you've done here, Svetlana, we've seen what you've done here in your little country here. That's cute. That's cute. It's ours now, by the way. It's ours now, by the way. And they snatch it from her hands and they occupy Eastern Slav Republic. They get rid of all the BOWs. That is how they are able to just neutralize this country. And let me tell you, nobody's happy about it. Leon's like, what the fuck? Why? Who agreed to this? And everyone's like, oh God, ugh. And Svetlana's like, all right, well, if this is going on, I guess I'm beat. And she steps down. And that's the last we hear from her. She steps down from her presidency and she's like, all right, I'm beat. Honestly, I say bring her back. Bring her back. She is literally one of the coolest, like, villains that I've seen in the series. It is so cool. And Leon, sad but hot. Truly the most accurate way to describe Leon Kennedy. Look at him in the tightest shirt I've ever seen. Leon in the tightest shirt I've ever seen is sitting in a hotel room like, I can't believe that they would do this. Who agreed? Why did America agree to team up with the Russians? Whose big idea was that? And he's talking to Hunnigan, and Hunnigan's like, listen, Leon, we had no idea that we would suddenly do that. We had no idea we'd suddenly come in and just blast all these BOWs. We had no idea. And it's like, whose idea was it then? Was it the president's? And Hunnigan's like, no, it wasn't the president. I swear, we didn't know who made this agreement with the Russians. Which is kind of like, setting up the whole like Simmons in Resident Evil 6 thing, right? Like there's like an evil guy in the government. So that's kind of what they're setting up here. And Leon's like, I'm not happy about this. And he just walks off into the sunset. And then he goes off and meets up with Alexander. And he's like, listen, Alexander, you're still infected with the Master Plagas, but it doesn't have to completely just take over your life. I can help you. And Alexander's like, really? How can you do that? And Leon just like shoots his spine. Leon shoots his spine, shooting the plagas out of his body and turns him into a paraplegic. But he is no longer infected with it. So, I mean, that's good, I guess. And then there's a post-credit scene where Ada's like, hey guys, welcome to my BOW haul. Look what I got. And she pulls out the plagas that she pulled out, and it's, that. And she's like, I think I'm gonna be selling this. Does anyone want it? She's like holding it like an influencer. She's like, look at this, guys. It's a plagas. Anyone want it? Starting price, $1,000. You know what I mean? So she's like auctioning it off. So that's what she's doing. And thus, this is like literally the beginning of Resident Evil 6, right? So the civil war that happens in the Eastern Slav Republic and the use of BOWs in wars begins in Slav Republic, but then like moves to Edonia, right? Leon goes to meet with the president, and then him and Benford have like, a little tiff, but they form the DSO. Chris and Pierce are there, whatever. And then Ada is still her sassy self, right? And she has the whole Carla Redeems thing. So that is where we are in the context of the story. So all in all, my final thoughts on it is I think it's honestly a really exciting movie. I think out of the 2 Resident Evil movies that I've watched, animated movies that I've watched, this one is vastly better than Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, which came out much more recently. There's just something about it that just... It's a fun movie, especially if you're a Resident Evil fan. There's enough lore in it that they just bite into. The action sequences are really cool with Svetlana and Ada. It's just it's an excellent video game movie. I will say though that the plot isn't anything to write home about. It's a pretty standard action movie plot. I wouldn't say that anything will stay with me forever and ever, amen, out of the plot. But it's a good Sunday afternoon watch, is what I say to that. So overall, as a movie, what I put it on Letterboxd is a 3 out of 5. So it's like a mid movie. But as a Resident Evil entry, it's a solid 8 out of 10. If you're a Resident Evil fan, watch Damnation. It is too good. Too good. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Damnation. Let's talk about the sickest villains now, right? Because Svetlana has shaken things up for me on this list. So here are my top 10 sickest villains in RE, right? These are just the ones that I really like. There's really no rhyme or reason why. These are just my favorites. So, number 10, Vitores Mendez from Resident Evil 4. Come on, zombie priest, ganado priest, right? He's following you around. He's this gigantic man. I don't know. There's just something about his design. Super sick. Number 9 is the classic Tyrant. I think it's 00. I think Tyrant 00. I think is what he is. Just his presence is so unnerving, and the way that they make him in the remake, it's so cool. Number 8 is Evelyn from 7. Okay, creepy little girl appearing out of nowhere, right? The twisty twist at the end of 7. I'm vibing with it. I'm loving it. So, Evelyn is number 8, sorry. Number 7 is Svetlana Belikova. So there she is. There she blows. She is that cool for me. A literal president of a country being able to beat both Leon and Ada in a fight. Her pulling the strings on an entire civil war in her country. I need her so bad. And I am a gay man, I need her so bad. But Svetlana is so cool, and I hope that they bring her back at some point. I don't know if they really reference the movies and the games a lot, but if there's anybody that they bring back, I hope it's Svetlana. I hope it's her. She's so cool. Number 6 is Jack Baker. I like his vibe. Number 5. Here's the top 5. Ready? I got Mr. Kennedy. Tonight's entertainment. Oh, he's so cool. Ramon Salazar. Count Ramon Salazar. His lore is cool. His design is cool. His BOW form is cool. Too sick. Number 4 is Mother Miranda. I loved the Mother Miranda fight. I loved her vibe. She's so sick. She is literally Mother. Number 3 is, of course, Mr. Wesker, Cadaver. Oh, so cool. Catching an RPG, come on now. Number 2 is Alcina Dimitrescu, Lady Dimitrescu. We love a tall woman here at Montmontgames. We love a tall woman here. And number 1, I know nobody agrees with me on this. I know nobody in the entire world agrees with me on this, that she is the coolest villain in Resident Evil. I know no one does. I am one man facing off against a 100-man army, okay? I know that. I think that Marguerite Baker is so cool. I think Marguerite Baker is literally so cool. Just her design, the way that she's like crawling around like a bug, dude. Her stomach is literally made of hives. Oh my god. Oh, wow, she's so cool. The way she just like pops out of the window and crawls around. Oh my god, she's so cool. She is so cool. Nobody agrees with me. I know, like my entire chat right now is like, no. I think she's so cute. She's like the perfect example of a body horror that's just so fascinating. It's so cool. Monty Meds now. Whoa. Yeah, I love Marguerite Baker. And also, hey, you know what? I have a thing for moms, not in that way, not in a MILF way, but like in a, like just the way that she was in the DLC, where she's like, no, don't you hurt my Zoe, don't you do it. And she was like fighting with her last breath to survive. All right, so let's get to the real meat and potatoes now. Let's get to the real meat and potatoes of the hottest Leons in Resident Evil. Let's get into it. Let's dive into it. So number 5 is Resident Evil 6 Leon. Not gonna lie, it just didn't do it for me. He looks a little grungy here, you know? I feel like Resident Evil 6 Leon is like Hobo Eren Yeager from season 4 of Attack on Titan. Like that's where I am with that. Number 4 is this one, is Damnation Leon. I think they're a little too close in this era, so it's not that much of a surprise, right? But you know, there's a charm to him. I think this is one of the sassiest that Leon has been. I think Resident Evil 4 Leon is the sassiest, but Damnation Leon is like also very sassy. He has a bunch of one-liners that are just so silly and funny and just, I don't know. Like at some point when he's fighting off with the liquor the first time, he's like, I needed some breakfast. You know, he says something like that. It's cute. It's cute. I think this one's a cute Leon, you know. Number 3 is Resident Evil 2 Leon. This is like, I got this, he says. I love this Leon. Rookie Leon Kennedy is so cute. He's so cute. I can't get enough of Rookie Leon. Number 2 is Infinite Darkness Leon. Nah, y'all know I don't particularly like this show on Netflix very much, right? I don't particularly like this one very much, but there's something about Infinite Darkness Leon. And then you get to see him in a suit, dude. Leon in a suit. Oh my god. Leon in a suit did something to my brain chemistry that I have never recovered from since. It is, oh my god, too darn tootin' hot. Number 1, yes, Chris got it in 1. Was there ever any doubt? Was there ever any doubt that I would not be putting Resident Evil 4 Remake Leon Scott Kennedy at the number 1 spot on the hottest Leons list? No, there was not. This Leon has literally changed everything for me. The way that I look at life, the way that life just has like a little bit more color and life and laughter. Suddenly, I am laughing louder, I am smiling wider because of Resident Evil 4 Leon's presence in my life. He has changed everything. I love you, Leon. I hope you're doing well. So yes, these are the hottest Leons that I have seen so far.